first of all, let me say thank you so much for taking time for us to be together, for all you've done that leads to this moment over these many years. Would you share a little bit about sort of your journey as a judge? You've been a judge for so long, and you're doing
Right.
so much even now to help our society, to help our legal profession.
Well, um, so I, um, I did not grow up thinking I wanted to be a judge. I didn't even think I was going to be a lawyer. Actually, I was much more interested in religion. I mean, I was interested in religion and spirituality. That was my focus when I was in college, and I thought, well, this is what I'm going to do with my life in some way, shape, or form. I wasn't sure what, and and then at some point I became more of a social person. I was more interested. I went to college in the late 60s and early 70s. There was just a lot of ferment going on in the country, and I kind of wanted to get involved in the world in a way that being an academic, say, would not have allowed me to do. And so I went to law school, and I was kind of with great ambivalence. But the nice thing about the law is that it's a very, very big tent. There's a lot of ways you can use your legal training. And in my case, I ended up using it to work in the mental health field, which kind of tapped into a lot of my interests in people's health and well-being. And the people with chronic mental illnesses have just an incredibly hard time every day, every minute. They're living in enormous pain and confusion, and so to be able to figure out how to relate to people like that and represent them in legal proceedings and help them solve problems. I mean, that was really, really interesting work. And that, I think, was the foundation of what I brought to the judiciary when I became a judge, which is trying to see legal problems not as just Rubik's cubes you had to try to solve by analyzing the facts and law. You have to do that. I mean, I think it's very important that you be a good lawyer. If you're going to be a good judge, you have to understand how the law works, and you have to follow the law as a judge. But I also think that the ability to see what's going on, what are the actual underlying interests that have brought people there? Why are they there in the first place? And what is it that they're presenting to you? And then how can you use your particular role in society to add some value? Sometimes they just need an answer. They just need a decision. And sometimes you can actually help them think through the problem and come up with a better solution than they might have been able to otherwise. And even in the criminal field, I mean, it's like you're dealing with a person who's obviously gotten into some trouble. How do you be a positive vector for that person? I mean, sometimes what needs to happen is they just need to go be somewhere where they can't hurt anybody else. And then at the other end of the spectrum, maybe what they need is somebody to care about the struggle they're having and point them towards some resources that'll help. So, you have to have the flexibility, and you have to have a big enough perspective to see what's going on. I think that's always been the cornerstone of my judicial philosophy. So then, as I kind of went through different assignments, I mean, I started out in a municipal court in California when I was a baby judge, and I became a Superior Court judge, and then I became a federal judge. And the cases kept getting bigger, and the more and more serious and all that kind of thing. But to me, the basic process really was the same. It's like, how do you bring the analytical approach that's necessary, that the job requires, with at the same time being human and having a heart and seeing the other dimensions. And then what really started interesting me was that even for the more analytical people, the big firm lawyers who, we're doing the big cases and all that kind of thing, that we're all human. And so our emotions affect us, our biases affect us, how much sleep we get affects us, what's going on at home affects us. And it's kind of a bit of an illusion for people to say, well, I just come to court and do my job and analyze cases. I mean, everybody tries to do that, but nobody is able to do that perfectly because we all have our human uh, attributes. And so I mean that's a lot. It's a long answer, but I mean that's kind of how I got here.